back tonight.
We need to make sure our tax system is fairer.
The federal budget delivers a multi-billion-dollar housing program that will be paid for in part by tax hikes on the rich. And an early morning shooting in Saskatoon is the city's 8th homicide of the year and the 2nd in as many days. Plus, the Paris 2024 torch is lit in ancient Olympia, with the Olympics to start in just over 100 days.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, April 16th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for watching. The 2024 federal budget has been officially delivered and there aren't many surprises. The government had already announced several programs, but the big question, how is it all going to be paid for? Rafi Boudjikanian reports.
Mr. Speaker, we are acting today to ensure fairness for every generation.
With multiple announcements over the course of weeks aimed at addressing Canada's housing crisis, the government has revealed how it plans to pay.
To responsibly build a fairer future for younger Canadians, we need to make sure our tax system is fairer.
That means going after capital gains, like the sale of a secondary home, for the country's wealthiest and corporations. Individuals to pay taxes on 2/3 of anything they make above $250,000 a year, businesses fully moving to that rate.
This new revenue will help make life cost less for millions of Canadians, particularly millennials and Gen Z.
Support for the Liberals with that demographic has plummeted in opinion polls. The $23 billion housing program in this budget hopes to win them back. $8 billion of that in spending, the rest in loans. Ottawa even wants to convert some underused Canada Post and military public land into housing and spend up to $500 million to buy unused public land from provinces or cities. For this observer, an obvious play.
Targeting the main political areas, I think, that are really challenge this government, like housing and affordability, might not even be in their jurisdiction, but they're responding to the need for action by Canadians. Certainly the text emphasizes the demographic that's, I think, become a little distant from this government.
But to even get there, the minority Liberals need opposition help to pass the budget, and it's not clear they'll have any.
This is the 9th deficit. The 9th deficit after the Prime Minister promised the budget would balance itself. Conservatives will vote against this wasteful, inflationary budget.
We have some serious concerns, and I want to hear from the Prime Minister what his plan is to address those concerns.
With surveys also showing concerns over too much spending, the government does not want to increase its $40 billion deficit this year. This may not be the last pre-election budget the Liberals are planning, but they are banking on it paying off for them at the polls. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
Here in Saskatchewan, the opposition NDP is raising concerns about transparency regarding the government's spending on 2 motels. The Ministry of Social Services spent nearly $750,000 on the Thrift Lodge Motel and the Sunrise Motel to house vulnerable people. Both motels are linked to Sask Party MLA Gary Greywall. In one, he's an owner. In the other, he's an investor. NDP MLA Mira Conway says the money was spent on these motels after he took office.
Between the Thrift Lodge and the Sunrise, only $1,309 were paid out to those 2 motels total over the previous 3 years to the 2020 election. But once the member for Regina Northeast was elected, the total paid out to those motels jumped to $731,000.
When there's an overflow situation, hotels are used. They've been used for many, many years, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, over time, particularly here in Regina, there has been a decrease in the amount of hotels and obviously the rooms associated with that are willing to take on clients, particularly on the income assistance side. We haven't seen that on the child and family side.
The Minister of Social Services says there's now a process requiring quotes from 3 hotels before housing people. The ministry will also implement a 1-year pilot project to look at the concept of damage deposits. Well, today's question period was noticeably quieter than Monday's. Following debate Monday, Speaker Randy Weeks read a text he received from the finance minister. He then asked her to apologize, and that led to another minister being kicked out of proceedings. Adam Hunter has the details.
Before question period started on Monday, Speaker Randy Weeks asked for MLAs to improve their behavior in the Assembly. Less than an hour later, Weeks was back addressing the House.
As Speaker, I've received literally hundreds and hundreds of text messages from the government House Leader, the Deputy Government House Leader, and occasionally from the Minister of Finance. I'd just like to read into the record what the Minister of Finance just sent me. Randy, if you can blatantly lie, tarnish reputations of elected and unelected individuals with innuendos but no proof, we have no avenue to push back, then this Assembly has become a joke and a stage for an opposition puppet show. Disappointing. First of all, if you want to make a point of order, get on your feet. And I ask the Minister of Finance to withdraw and apologize for this text and any others that you may feel inclined to send me off the record.
I withdraw and apologize.
Moments later, the Speaker called for another apology.
I ask the Government House Leader to stand and withdraw and apologize for that comment too. I'm not deaf.
I'm not.
For refusing to apologize, Harrison had to leave the Assembly, of which he did on his own accord. On Tuesday, Harrison was back and everyone was on their best behavior. Premier Scott Moe says the Speaker's job is to enforce the rules and that he respects those decisions.
I think after yesterday, you'd see a hesitance of anyone texting the Speaker with how that was handled. But again, I say it's his job solely to keep and maintain the decorum of the Assembly, and he did that yesterday, and he's done it before, and we expect him to do it again tomorrow if necessary.
Moe didn't criticize Harpower's message, and he says he warned his caucus to be careful of what they are texting. He says sometimes texts are necessary to coordinate House business between the opposition and government and the Speaker. The opposition agrees, but it says the content of the message is what matters.
Texting the Speaker about a ruling that he makes, criticizing him, that would be unthinkable to myself and my team. I can tell you that without a doubt. It's never been done, nor would we ever dream of it.
Conway says the text from Harpower to the Speaker was an attempt to pressure and influence him. She says that crossed the line. Adam Hunter, CBC News, Regina.
Well, the weather has certainly turned in most of the province. It looks like we're going to be in for an interesting couple of days. Our weather specialist Ethan Williams is here now to explain what you got.
Well, a couple of systems that we're keeping our eye on, of course, Sam. This first one, this is the remnants now of a Colorado low moving through our province. We saw some steady rain in the southeast today. That's beginning to move now into Manitoba. Then all eyes turn to the second system, that low-pressure system out of Alberta, now bringing a messy mix of rain and snow through west central Saskatchewan, through the northern grain belt, and into Saskatoon now, where we are starting to see some wet snow accumulating in the city. Temperature in Saskatoon, by the way, sitting at 2 degrees at the moment, still 15 at the moment in Regina, so a big temperature spread there. Heaviest of the snow, and we know it'll probably likely be snow from here on out, will be in northeastern Saskatchewan, La Ronge, Pelican Narrows, South End. This is a snowfall warning for you now, upgraded from the special weather statement yesterday, upwards of 25 centimeters by the time all is said and done with this system. Now, as for what else we can expect, Sam, including some pretty strong winds, I'll have that coming up in your forecast a little bit later.
Oh, I can't wait. Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
A Saskatoon mother is looking for answers after her 25-year-old son was shot to death early this morning on the city's west side. The woman told us she's lost 2 sons in 2 years. The first unexpectedly, the second today to gun violence. Jason Warwick has more from the scene.
Saskatoon police say they were called to this location on 20th Street early this morning, where they found a 25-year-old man who had sustained a gunshot wound. He was taken to hospital but died shortly after.
A small memorial now marks where the man died, about a block from St. Paul's Hospital. Linda Lee and 2 friends were at the scene of the shooting later this morning. Linda did not want to appear on camera, but tells us that the victim was her son, Cade Lee. She says the last 12 hours have been a blur.
All I know is I went home and my doors are wide open, and a cop showed up about 20 minutes later telling me my kid was shot and he's dead.
Linda says it's tough to lose another son. One of Cade's older brothers died 2 years ago. Area residents say they heard yelling before police arrived just before 1 a.m., but they couldn't say for sure what happened.
It's kind of scary to walk around here like during the night or evening probably, so I mostly just stay home.
I wouldn't walk around here like at nighttime by myself, you know? We mostly don't go anywhere at nighttime.
At this rate, Saskatoon would break its single-year record for homicides. There have been 8 so far this year and 2 in the last several days alone.
There's no word yet on any arrests. Saskatoon Police Major Crime Section and Forensic Identification Services continue to investigate. Jason Warwick, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Meanwhile, a 24-year-old woman has been identified as Saskatoon's 7th homicide victim of the year. Police say Melissa Duquette was found dead Monday in the basement of a house. It happened here on the 3200 block of 33rd Street West in the Dundonald neighborhood. Police have not released how she died or if Major Crimes has any suspects. Saskatoon Major Crimes is also investigating a crash that left a 16-year-old dead and 2 other teens injured early Sunday morning. The teen who died was a passenger in a 2008 Honda Civic. Police say the driver lost control, crashed into a pole and flipped over. Police confirm a 15-year-old boy was driving. Another 15-year-old boy was another passenger. At this point, police don't believe impairment was a factor, and so far no charges have been laid, but they haven't been ruled out either. CBC is not naming the teen pending the police investigation. 2 men accused of beating and binding a man on a rural property near Melfort have pleaded guilty to assault causing bodily harm. Peter and Adam McLean appeared in court on Monday. The 2 pled down from aggravated assault in their attack on Chris Hawkins. Their plea isn't the outcome Hawkins' sister expected or feels is enough. The 2 men were charged after she went searching for answers to her brother's death. An autopsy report suggested the assault did not play a role. She says she obtained a video of the incident, and this result does not hold them responsible. Both are scheduled to be sentenced in mid-July.
You know, they wanted to make sure that that was a good date for Adam, that that was a good date for the lawyers, that that was a good date for Pete, and that was a good date for the judge. And it took every bit of me not to yell out, it's not a good date for my brother. It's not a good date for my brother, and it's not a good date for his family.
Both men still face an outstanding forcible confinement charge. Peter also faces a charge for uttering threats, and Adam for an outstanding charge for assault with a weapon. They're set to be dealt with in the same day as their sentencing. The coroner's inquest into the death of Jeremy Sabourin continued today in Moose Jaw. In October of 2021, Sabourin shot and killed himself with a weapon that he smuggled into the cells of the Moose Jaw Police Service. So far, the 6-person jury has heard how the RCMP arrested the 40-year-old on a warrant for sexual assault. Sabourin was searched 3 times by the RCMP, but they did not find the small revolver strapped to his thigh in a holster. Moose Jaw Police also failed to search him when he was transferred to their custody, despite a policy requiring them to do so. And neither police agency used a metal detecting wand when they searched him. Sabourin later used that weapon to shoot himself. The jury's job is not to assign guilt. They're being asked to determine who died, when, and how. They're also asked to make recommendations on how to prevent similar incidents in the future. Well, if you've noticed some stinky air in Saskatoon, there is a reason for it. New landfill gas wells and piping are being installed at the Saskatoon landfill. It's expected the landfill gas well field, to expand the landfill gas well field and to collect more methane from decomposing waste. The city says that could lead to a noticeable odor in the area, depending on the wind. Construction is planned to begin this week and expected to last about 6 weeks. We'll be back after the break. The Olympic torch has been lit, the relay's underway, and the countdown to the 2024 Games has begun. Usually the power of the sun's used to light the flame with a parabolic mirror, but it was too cloudy in Olympia, Greece today. The 2024 Paris Games start July 26th, and you can catch all the action right here on CBC.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Customer Appreciation Month is on now.
Cloudy in Olympia, cloudy in Saskatchewan. Ethan, I think it's just a sign that we're all going to face something.
Yeah, maybe not snow in Olympia, Greece, but you know, sure. Well, anything could happen really with this forecast, that's for sure. And anything can happen here in Saskatchewan too. The center of this area of low pressure right over Regina and southern Saskatchewan, keeping us rain and snow free. It's around that low though where you see all that rain and snow and then the remnants of that Colorado low, a double whammy here with these two systems. Now, overnight tonight, the rest of that rain changes over exclusively, we think, to snowfall through central and northern sections of the province and along west central areas as well, even down toward the Swift Current area. That continues tomorrow morning for the drive to work. Likely not great highway conditions in this part of the province as that slowly treks southeastward. Regina and the rest of southern Saskatchewan, the center of that low begins moving away, and it should be by the supper hour tomorrow or shortly thereafter where we're going to start to see the flakes fly here. Light to moderate snowfall probably. Another band of it possible for Thursday afternoon as well. Before it's finally out of here Friday, we're left with cloudy skies in the south. High pressure begins to clear things out, though, in the north of the province. Now, I've set rain only, the rain map here only to about 9 a.m. tomorrow morning because I think the rain will be mostly done by then. So tonight and overnight, we're looking for maybe 5 to 10 millimeters in western and central sections of the province, including Saskatoon. Not much for Regina and the south. I think these numbers, snowfall-wise, are overshot a little bit. Regina and the south, we're probably looking at maybe upwards of 5 centimeters by the end of tomorrow. Central Saskatchewan, including Saskatoon, maybe 5 to 10 centimeters, locally up to 15 centimeters. But yes, in the eastern sections of the Churchill region, could be as much as 20 to 25 centimeters, maybe locally some pockets of 30 centimeters there. Wind starts to pick up tomorrow, and that means that visibility will be reduced at times through a good chunk of the province. So again, if you're heading out tomorrow, highway hotline going to be a good resource, or maybe just stay at home, because here's what we're expecting wind-wise. Picking up to near 50 as we head through the evening tonight. Tomorrow, probably 60 to 70, gusts especially strong in the southwest, and that continues through tomorrow night into Thursday as well, as winds continue to be strong at times near 60 in southeastern sections of the province. And did I mention it's going to get cold as well? A cold front moving in, dropping our temperatures to near freezing in much of south and central tomorrow, and some lows -5 to -10 as we head into tomorrow night. But that's not even the coldest of the weather that we can expect, because as you see in Regina, after we get that snow over the next couple of days, maybe some lows near -10. Again, quite windy tomorrow afternoon or evening snowfall. That's a nice change, though, once we get to the weekend. For Saskatoon, probably looking for 5 to 10 centimeters. That icon should be snow, not rain tomorrow. And then after that, things beginning to clear out as we see an improvement heading in toward the weekend. But yeah, in the meantime, winter has made a brief return, Sam.
Sweater weather.
Sweater weather, yes.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
One of Saskatoon's 2 operators says their e-scooters are back on the streets. Neuron Mobility said this week marks the start of a second scooter season in Saskatoon. In Regina, City Council did approve the continuation of the scooter program on March 20th. The city expects them to operate between May 1st and October 31st, of course, weather permitting. We'll be back after the break. Canada is coming off its worst wildfire season on record and one of the deadliest. 8 firefighters and contractors were killed on the job. Preparations are underway for another long, hot, dangerous summer. A group of new firefighting recruits is wrapping up their training in Alberta. Along with the physical demands, they're learning about the mental hazards that can come with the work. Julia Wong has the story.
Aaron Curd says this is where he belongs, on the front lines of the wildfire fight.
I was actually watching the media about last year, and I saw how the wildfires were impacting the communities here in Alberta, and how it was actually impacting the rest of Canada as well. I felt like that this could be a cause that I could contribute to.
Curd, who used to be in the military, is among more than 500 people trained this season to work with helicopters, lay down equipment, and respond to fires. But Curd says he's been preparing psychologically as well.
I like taking my own time, really separating myself from my job sometimes if it gets really busy, and then just focusing on myself and what I need to do.
Last year, Canada saw its worst wildfire season in a century. Fires started early and were unrelenting. With dry conditions in Alberta, this year may be no different in the province.
Because the seasons are longer and more intense, it requires us to be very clear about what fatigue and cumulative fatigue looks like, be really clear about some of the mental health issues that can come as a result of working extended shifts many days throughout the entire summer. Make sure that we've got a little slack in the hose there.
And mental health is one of the things instructors want recruits to be more open about.
We always talk about the hazard of fire behavior, slip, trips, falls. The mental health hazards are equally important, and we need to make sure that we're trying to get that into our everyday conversation.
That's not to say the physical risks of the job have been forgotten. 8 people working on wildfires died last season, according to a report by Natural Resources Canada.
We certainly are open in talking about the past as a learning experience. So what can we learn from those really unfortunate deaths, fatalities, serious injuries?
For Kurd, even with all that considered, he's ready for what this season could bring.
We're all very aware of what we have moving forward, and just keeping healthy, keeping our morale up.
A job that could see him working for weeks at a time, putting the lessons he's learned to the test. Julia Wong, CBC News, Hinton, Alberta.
And as we complain about the upcoming moisture, we can think about that potential wildfire season, yes?
Yeah, exactly. And this moisture really going to help with that here. So that's one thing we'll be thankful for. But it is going to be windy along with that as well. That is picking up in Regina tonight as we see mostly cloudy skies. I think we'll start on a cloudy note tomorrow with a chance of some wet snow. Again, gusts near 60, picking up to near 70 at times in Regina tomorrow. That chance continues, and the heavier snow for us, or at least about 2 to 4 centimeters in Regina, coming later in the afternoon. Rain tonight for Saskatoon, and as we head into tomorrow, that changes over to snow by the morning, and it'll likely be blowing snow by the afternoon. Gusts over 60 with that snow starting to come down with a temperature just near 1 degree. I think I better change the scene in the background here, Sam. Back over to winter.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, maybe not.
Okay,
we'll
thanks,
leave
Ethan.
it. You bet.
Before we leave you, it is National Volunteer Week in Canada, and here in Saskatchewan, 10 volunteers were recognized today for decades of service. Lieutenant Governor Russ Morasti gave out Saskatchewan volunteer medals to people who've gone above and beyond for others without expecting anything in return. One of the recipients is Jo Custed. She says as an immigrant woman and working mother in the early 80s, she faced a lot of discrimination. So she spent years fighting for labor rights and benefits for women in the workplace. Custed says she was inspired by her father, who moved the family to Canada from Kenya in the 1960s.
My father was always involved. My father was a volunteer. If someone needed some help, you know, Dad was always there helping out. So, oh, he would be. I'm sorry, he just passed away a couple of months ago. He would be out of his mind. Yeah, he would be so proud.
The other volunteers have also given decades of service, from helping children to honoring war veterans. The Lieutenant Governor said they're an inspiration to all. And that's it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask. You can subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel, or you can download the CBC News app on your phone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.